Okay, we're live. Another MP has crossed the floor. We'll take a look at some videos plus some posts on X. Let's start.
First, though, here is Matt Genereux, the newest Liberal MP, on why he's switching teams.
Quite honestly, it was the speech in Davos where you took everything head on, and I think for me
that is a crazy thing to say. Alberta Liberal MP, the speech in Davos.
For a lot of the world change. I think it opened a lot of eyes for Canadians, Albertans, Edmontonians, just how serious this national unity crisis truly is. And it's for me, it felt
that is a crazy excuse, man.
Disingenuine and quite simply wrong to be sitting on the sidelines anymore. So I reached out to the Prime Minister's office and will be joining his caucus, and I couldn't be more proud.
Let's begin with Rosemary Barton, CBC's chief political correspondent. I mean, I'm from the outside, so I come in and I thought, wait a second, I thought this is
I don't even really care, to be honest. The CPC sucks too, so whatever.
Handled weeks ago. What happened between the rumors that he was crossing and said he was just going to step away to today?
Well, more than rumors, let's be clear,
Right.
because Matt Genereux did meet with Prime Minister Carney, and we knew that his name was sort of on the bubble within a group of people that were considering crossing the floor. That kind of fell apart, in part because of the timing of the Chris d'Entremont floor crossing. And after conversations with his leader, Genereux decided that he would simply step away sometime this spring. Obviously, that is not happening. Now, I mean, if we're to take Matt Genereux at his word, he feels compelled to stay and help this particular prime minister, this particular government, because of the pressures around national unity, both in Alberta and Quebec, and also because of the way Mark Carney positioned Canada on the world stage in that Davos speech. I think there's other things at play here too. Mr. Genereux, I think, is attracted to some of the policies that this prime minister has put forward that are decidedly more on the center right than the previous prime minister. Those things make it more compelling for conservatives to think about this. And he's not the only conservative who listened to that speech, who thought, this makes a lot of sense to me right now. I want to be part of it. So it is in some ways surprising, but probably less surprising than we would think, given that his name had been out there bandied about for some time.
Yeah, somebody out in the newsroom said, of all the floor crossing stories that might have happened, this is probably the least surprising of them, but its significance is quite high and in a number of ways, right?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let's just think about the volume. Now, Pierre Poilievre has lost 3 MPs. That's a lot. I mean, it's not as bad as Stockwell Day, the situation, but it's not a good trend for him. It also comes on a week where he was having to defend another Conservative MP, Jamil Jivani, who was creating all sorts of problems by going rogue on issues around Canada-U.S. relations, when Pierre Poilievre himself hasn't talked about those things in a fulsome way yet.
Jivani should just switch teams too. Who cares? The CPC stands for nothing.
3 MPs leaving is a sign of something, right? 3 MPs plus Jamil Jivani is a sign that there is some sort of issue managing caucus. It comes, as you well know, on the heels of that leadership review where, and I know you're about to talk to Fred Delory, everyone sort of thought, okay, this has been put to bed. Pierre Poilievre can continue as leader. I'm not sure that that's...
Yeah, I agree. I haven't seen too much news lately on Alberta independence. I know that it's still obviously going as planned, but it's been sort of a slow news week for it, I think.
Is going to stick around because this will get people thinking. We are hearing that it's possible there are other people out there. We've been hearing that for months. Whether it manifests or not, I don't know. But you don't want to have that hanging over you as an opposition leader, for sure.
Walk me through that, though, because I've been hearing there's rumors all over Twitter. Yeah. How much substance is there to, like,
up PBE?
Like in Genereux, he was actually meeting with the prime minister. Yep. What do we know about what really is happening in terms of others?
I mean, very little. This is a very closed circle, a small circle of people inside the prime minister's office who are running these kinds of things. In this case, Genereux says he reached back out to the prime minister's office. Is that the case? I don't know. But I think it's fair to say that this is not a passive operation by the prime minister's office. This is something that they are doing.
169 Liberal, 171 opposition, 3 vacancies. Okay.
Very actively, knowing that they are now...
they're going to get, I bet, the Liberals to the majority.
3 seats away from a very slim majority. The 3 by-elections to be called, 2 of which they will certainly hold in the Toronto area, and a third in Terrebonne, where it's very possible that they hold it. It'll be a fight with the Bloc Québécois. But this is, I think, another very
Yeah, totally. And then when the actual referendum happens, it'll be like all over the news. It'll probably even be international news at that point.
very, very challenging week for Pierre Poilievre when he is trying very hard to get the message back on issues of affordability, food inflation again this week. And those things now have fallen by the wayside because people are asking questions about his leadership.
All right, we'll leave it there. Rosemary, thanks for this. Appreciate it. The CBC's chief political correspondent, Rosemary Barton. Now, Edmonton Riverbend MP Matt Genereux's floor crossing brings the Liberals, as Rosie said, 1 seat closer to a majority government. Take a listen to what Defense Procurement Secretary of State Stephen Fuhr said about the news today.
I remember Matt from the 42nd Parliament. In fact, he was a neighbor of mine in the building I lived in. I quite like Matt, and I mean, obviously, he sees what most of us see in terms of this government addressing the priorities of Canadians and acknowledging where we are.
Yeah, the plan for this stream is just watch this video, watch another video from CTV. Then I've got some X bookmarks to cover, and that'll be this. It'll probably be maybe an hour-long stream.
The space that we all occupy now, we're in a whole brand new reality over the last year, and I think he recognizes that we've got a good plan and he wants to join the team. So we're happy to have him.
You can catch the rest of my interview with Stephen Fuhr in the next hour. But for now, this is the 3rd MP Pierre Poilievre has lost as Conservative leader in 3 months. In a statement, Poilievre said Mark Carney is trying to...
Poilievre doesn't do anything, though. I don't care. He doesn't even have a point of view on things these days. So who gives a crap?
Sees a costly Liberal majority government that Canadians voted against in the last election through dirty backroom deals. Matt Genereux has betrayed the people of Edmonton Riverbend who voted for affordable food and homes, safe streets, and a strong resource sector.
This will be his one statement on this topic, and he'll just move on. Oh, well.
Conservatives will continue our fight for a Canada that's affordable, safe, and self-reliant.
Yeah, I bet you this X post will be the extent of Poilievre talking about this.
David Hurley is a Liberal campaign co-chair under
this guy called Giovanni ugly.
Paul Martin, and here with me, former Conservative campaign manager Fred Delory. I'll start with you, Fred.
I think that guy was actually on the same podcast when this other dude called Giovanni ugly.
It's so interesting that
it's
it was
male
just
model over here in the blue shirt, buttons undone, calls Giovanni ugly.
Remember that the rumors were coming out. It felt like, as I said to Rosie, that had kind of been sorted out. How big of a blow is this in this moment?
Are you talking about the gender identity stuff, PBE?
Well, I mean, anytime
because Pierre can't touch apparently a ton of stuff. I've totally lost hope. I think Pierre's a huge loser. I actually, to be quite honest, I think Carney is better. I'm not even kidding. That's where I am right now with Poilievre. At least Carney is less full of crap. Carney, to me, always has represented himself as a globalist. So whatever, he's going to be a globalist. Poilievre got everyone's hopes up with the apple-eating version of Poilievre, and then he just totally has become like a useless politician. So, yeah, I think Carney is honestly better.
One crosses the floor, it's a blow, but if it gives the other party...
I actually am not kidding on that either, by the way. Carney's better. Trudeau's the worst. Poilievre is approaching Trudeau status. He's obviously never going to get there because Trudeau is truly the worst, but Poilievre is a joke, man.
Majority government. Right. It is historical in that regard. It's, obviously there's still a seat away in terms of the 3 by-elections. 2 of them are safe, as Rosie mentioned. 1 is contested fight. And that by-election now is going to be, I think, the most consequential by-election in Canadian history. I can't think of a time when we had a by-election that will decide whether there's a majority.
Look at Poilievre's X account. He is actually kind of becoming a joke. He posts here. I don't know. He keeps posting about the Olympics, just the most easy thing ever. And I said, you're a joke. But everyone, is this a sport? Is this the sports channel now? Are the vultures circling? It's the only positive news in Canada. Your base is mad. They wanted Canada. How's it going, Pierre? Yeah, honestly, Pierre has become a joke. 18 months ago, everybody loved him. You're having a party with your bud Carney, another MP, Pierre. Do something useful for this country. Like, Pierre is honestly such a clown. The only people he panders to are centrists that don't even like him. His base, he just has totally abandoned. Yeah, look at this. Nobody in the comments is positive toward Pierre anymore. Pierre has no control. Like, the entire political spectrum, I think, has turned on Poilievre. The right, me. Obviously, the left doesn't like him. See, like, he still gets called MAGA. It's so stupid. He should actually be like MAGA. Then he would get some of his base back. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, again, I actually think Poilievre is the ball. I like Andrew Scheer more. I like Aaron O'Toole more. Because I don't think they misrepresented. Oh, crap. Was I in the whole time? Oh, my bad. That was a terrible streaming moment. I was on this. Sometimes this is a new platform. Sometimes I forget to switch this over. Anyway, I was covering some of Poilievre's posts here on X. Sorry about that. But yeah, like, he's just getting bodied in the replies. Again, I actually like Aaron O'Toole more, and I like Andrew Scheer more because they didn't lie, I don't think, about who they are. Aaron O'Toole never pretended to be this populist firebrand guy. He was just like milquetoast, kind of like center-right, probably quite centrist. But Pierre just betrayed people. He's actually, it's crazy. I could go on and on and on about how bad of a leader Poilievre is. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, he's just posting all this crap. Like, does he even know he's in politics? Look, Pierre's becoming a joke. You love to see it. He is. I think this guy's like radical left, doesn't like Poilievre. Who's right across the floor? It's amazing. It is amazing. It's sad, but
Government.
again, if you like Poilievre, that's fine. It's not your fault. It's not you. It's not on you. You can. I don't care if you like him. That's cool, but I don't like him.
Of course, the rumors are true, and there's potentially more floor crossers, right? We've heard right before Christmas, there was a new Democrat MP that was lined up to meet with the Prime Minister.
I also would even go a step further. I think people like the Elevate Report, the Pleb, Mario, what's that called? Northern Perspective, Moose on the Loose. I'm going to cover this at the end of the video a little bit. They should turn on him, in my opinion. Maybe not fully turn on him, but they should demand more out of him. Like, they don't need to be like me and just kind of lose hope in him, but I don't see a lot of criticism. I see lots of cheerleading, and I don't think that's getting the country anywhere. He doesn't deserve the support. He has all these massive YouTubers that they give him a huge bump all the time because they paint him with rose-colored glasses, but that to me is not helpful for the country. So I think at some point they need to be critical of Poilievre. Again, they don't have to be like me. They can obviously, everyone's free to think how they want, but I see a lot of cheerleading that is not deserved for Poilievre.
There was a new Democrat MP that was lined up to meet with the Prime Minister and was convinced to not have that meeting apparently the night before. So look, things are,
yeah, I agree.
Are where they are, but it is very historic what we're seeing right now.
What's the old Oscar Wilde quote about to lose one parent would be mis-
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I see. I thought you were talking about like the situation in Tumbler Ridge. Yeah, Pierre obviously can't support it. I don't criticize Pierre for. What's he supposed to say? Yeah, do it. but it certainly will hurt his chances if Alberta's an independent country, he loses so many seats. But I don't even think it matters, man. I don't think Poilievre will ever win. He doesn't. It's a pattern now. It's been going on for too long. He has not shifted his strategy. He honestly seems like very comfortable being leader of the opposition.
Fortune, but to lose more than one would be marked as carelessness. It's, we're getting into that territory. David Hurley, how different is this? Because we did have Michael Ma. He was a new Ontario backbencher. Chris D'Entremont was.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying I loved O'Toole, but I don't think O'Toole. Maybe he did. Maybe you could educate me, but I don't think O'Toole misrepresented himself. I think he was just this sort of milquetoast, like he was just center. I don't think he was very right wing. I didn't think he had very good policies, but
from Atlantic Canada, which is just a different breed of Tory. He called himself a red Tory. This is an Alberta conservative crossing the floor. How different does this feel?
Canada 51.
Well, I think it really, to me, doesn't feel that different. It feels like the continuation of a process. I mean, I think Mr. Genereux wanted to do this last fall and was prevented for a variety of reasons, I guess, from doing so. So I think this is sort of a continuation of a pattern that we've seen. But
yeah, if Pierre did go hard, right, he would go up in the polls, in my opinion, but he's not going to do that.
I think
Pierre literally competes for the Carney block. Carney has basically gobbled up the entire center. I saw a leftist on Twitter post about that today, and I agree with him. Carney has just completely devoured the center of Canadian politics, and for some reason, Pierre tries to compete with Carney. Again, I actually refuse to believe that Pierre is trying to win. It doesn't make any sense what he's doing, and he keeps trying this crazy strategy of competing with Carney for the center.
It's different from other floor crossings generally, because I think this is indicative of a very large schism that's going on inside that political party. We're having some dramatic political events in Canada around our relationship with the United States and around possible separatist referendums in Quebec and Alberta. And I think that party, which is a coalition of Western reformers and old progressive conservatives, is having a very difficult time managing both of those issues. And
I actually agree with that. He's probably going to come to a conclusion I don't agree with, but so far I agree.
Current leadership is that Western reform wing of the coalition. And, so frankly, they're MAGA. They're MAGA sympathetic, MAGA adjacent.
These guys, all these people on TV think that the Conservative Party of Canada already is MAGA. That's so crazy. These people, I would love to see the day when a Conservative Party in Canada is actually right wing, and to watch the Liberals in Canada lose their fucking minds when somebody's actually conservative. Like if maybe Jamil Javani will be that guy. Maybe he'll get in and actually be conservative, like be the leader or whatever, maybe. But these people would actually like panic because the Conservative Party is so not MAGA. It's so crazy that they think this.
Whether that's Poilievre himself or Andrew Scheer or Jenny Byrne or Michelle Rempel, people that are
these people, those are all moderate people, man. These it's so crazy. It's so pathetic.
Kind of in charge are very sympathetic. Well, it's not surprising then that there'd be lots of other members that are uncomfortable with that.
But Poilievre listens to people like this and he goes, okay, fine, I'll be more left wing. Okay, fine, I'll be more centrist. And then he just goes right into Carney's advantage. The center of Canada loves Carney. Whether you like Carney or not, that's a fact.
Especially as Carney carves out sort of a very pro-Canada positioning. And the referendums present similar problems. So I think that the next couple of years are really going to be difficult for that party, and floor crossings may be the least of their problems.
Fred, I mean, the mega comparisons tend to stick, if only because these things keep burbling up. Jamil Javani, before this all came up, his Pierre Poilievre.
It's honestly sad to follow. Like whatever, I'll keep watching the news, but It's like a statement of fact that the CPC is MAGA. That does not bear out in reality at all.
Give very good speech, but didn't name Donald Trump at the conservative convention. He did get 87% of that vote.
Yeah, Holly, you're right. All the people that would, you're right, which is sad, have given up on Canada and are trying totally. Yeah, I think this is actually a very interesting chat. You're right. And I also think there's a bunch of people in Canada too that are like kind of normal guys and normal women that don't complain. I think there's a lot of cowardice still in Canada too. Like just some random person with a regular job that thinks, well, I can't complain because then my employer might see this. For some reason, I think that's so common in Canada and less so in America. Americans just care way less what people think of them. Canadians are very insecure with their public opinion. And I think they think it's going to hurt them in their job, I think, or maybe their social circle or something.
I wonder what your sense on the ground is on how stable is his leadership in this moment. You know, we can get to what it might be.
I think, Holly, I think you hit the nail on the head here. This is like, again, I also do think there's a lot of cowardice still in Canada, which sucks. Like just people that don't follow politics and think, well, I'll just never follow politics. I think you should follow politics at least a little bit to make sure things aren't going off the rails. You don't got to follow it as much as I do, but, and then, yeah, again, like a lot of people would have straight up moved from Canada that would otherwise probably be more sensible, more right wing and stuff. Yeah.
After the by-elections later, but in this moment, how do you think?
And then like me, I've given up on the at least the CPC in its current form. I've given up on because what's the point? You'd be so crazy to think they're going to help anything if they ever win. First of all, they're not going to win. Second of all, what are they going to do? They'll probably have better tax policy, but there's more to a government than what you want to do about carbon tax.
He's standing.
Well, to your point, 87% of delegates voted for him to maintain his leadership position. Now, the only way he could be removed, unless he decides to leave on his own, is if Caucus.
Yeah, Poilievre does a lot of dumb stuff, man. It's brutal.
We do have a mechanism the Conservative Party does have that they could remove him.
Poilievre should cross the floor. He should be a liberal. He is a liberal.
But Caucus seems mostly united, largely, majority, vastly behind him. And all the main organizers within the caucus, all of the players that could do something are his people. So I don't see a risk to his leadership. Now, if Carney gets a majority in the next few months through floor crossing, through the by-election, it changes the game. There's no question discussions will have to happen. But he is still in a very, very strong spot. And I will say, Hurley said there's two.
You're talking about like Andrew Scheer, or who are you talking about?
Parts of the coalition. The coalition's about 16 different parts. It's much more vast than that. It's always a very difficult coalition because it's a party based on values and ideas, unlike the Liberal Party whose ideas and values.
No, but the Liberals are trying to diversify our trade, and like, good luck with that.
Just how do you win an election?
Well,
they have it much easier, and I'm not trying to be partisan and slam them here. It's envious in some ways. When you wake up in the morning and you're like, do we want Trudeau or Carney? Who can lead our party to victory? That's what you look through that prism. It's a very different mindset than when you have a party like ours that has so many different ideas and so many different regions that influence where we go.
I mean, the Liberal Party is divided into a bunch of different groups as well. We just don't talk about them as much, largely, I think, because you're right. When you win, the divisions are less important.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, Sick.
David, one of the things I've been trying to wrap my head around.
Yeah, Sick. I'll probably go late or live later on Alberta independence stuff. We'll see. I'm also going to release a video tonight on my other YouTube channel, which I'll pull up here if you want. I don't care because this channel, whatever, but a little bit of a different audience. But I'm going to release a video tonight on this channel in between, and then I'll go probably live back on the Alberta independent stuff.
How much or in what way does a majority government change the legislative agenda? Because it does not feel like this is a government that lacks the ability to get things done. They're out there signing deals and
I don't know about this. Michelle Rempel blocks everybody on every form of media. What do you mean by this? Because I'm not familiar with what you're saying. You're probably right. I don't know what this means. And asks her about her WEF involvement. She's a pig troffer. So is she involved with the WEF? Because I've never heard of this. I mean, I would have there's certain blind spots I have in Canadian politics. Like I don't certain topics I just have not really studied a ton, but
pushing ahead. They don't seem to be held back by Parliament. Does much change if they slip over into a majority government by one vote or two?
Well, I think a couple of things change, Peter. And first of all, I don't think the Liberals are significantly encumbered right now, but nonetheless, there's things that aren't necessarily obvious to the naked eye, which is, their budget bill has not passed yet. There's all kinds of the opposition controls the committees, and therefore the committees are generally disruptive to the government's agenda. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but that's the reality. And so if you're in a majority, you control the committees and you can manage what happens there.
Yeah, you're right, PBE. I agree.
Pass your legislation when you want to pass it. So life would be easier for the Liberals if they had a majority. But where it really matters is going forward. They don't have any problem right now because they would win government again if an election were held now.
Yeah, this is true. It's just Alberta has such a small amount of say in federal politics.
So the other parties have no interest in forcing an election right now. So the Liberals are fine. But when you look like you would lose if there's an election and you're the government, then I've been in that position. You are playing a much weaker hand. And then you get forced into having to negotiate with opposition parties about what's in your budget or what kind of legislation you're presenting, and you lose control. If I'm observing anything about Mark Carney, I don't think he wants to lose control. And so I think that a majority is probably pretty high on their list, whether it can be achieved through either floor crossings, which I think would be the preference, or an election at some point to provide the government with the kind of long-term stability to implement a plan that a minority just can't provide because it's so subject to the vagaries of politics.
David McLaughlin.
I bet you they'll just get it on floor crossings because another thing that I've noticed, how come no conservative MPs really, other than Jamil Javani, speak very much? Poilievre seems kind of like a control freak. I've heard that, at least rumors on X, that Poilievre doesn't like MPs speaking much out of whatever, just in general, probably. He just wants to be the only voice for the CPC, but I don't know. I don't know if that's confirmed or what. It seems like that to me, though.
Tweeted out today that the best way for Pierre Poilievre to become prime minister is for Mark Carney to get a majority government. Nick Kouvalis was on David's podcast last month.
What did he say? The best way for
about
what?
For Mark Carney to get a majority.
To implement a plan that a minority just can't provide because it's so subject to the vagaries of politics.
David McLaughlin tweeted out today that the best way for Pierre Poilievre to become prime minister is for Mark Carney to get a majority government. Nick Kouvalis was on David's podcast last month.
How is that true?
Talking about he thinks Pierre Poilievre will get his time. It's just not right now. Do you have to kind of squint to see the good news in this? But is there a silver lining that if they do get a majority, it does buy Pierre Poilievre some time to figure out how this party is going to convince Canadians to really get on board with the idea of a conservative government?
Yeah, as David mentioned, where the polling is right now, this is massive majority territory for the Liberals if we were to go this spring. So to alleviate that pressure and to give Poilievre a year or so, and again, just because he gets...
Chats are loading a little slow. They'll come, but this sometimes happens. But so anyway.
If he gets his one-seat majority, it's one seat. It doesn't mean we go the next 3 years smooth sailing here. We may see floor crossings go the other way. Carney's going to do things that may upset some of his own caucus, and things.
I know, it's sad.
Things can shift, and we can get back into election footing in a year or so. So yes, there is definitely a silver lining for Poilievre in that the more time he has to prepare for the next election, the more time he has to prepare for the next election.
Okay, interesting. That's interesting. I'll look into that. I didn't know that.
David, Jason Kenney had a really, I think, smart tweet out today.
Jason Kenney. They love conservatives when they're actually liberals.
And at the end of it, it's a long one. I hope people take time to read it. It says, a cautionary note to the Carney government. Partisan types love
Why is Jason Kenney all of a sudden all over social media? What is he doing?
tactical cleverness, but regular people often read it as cynicism. Is there a risk here that in the messaging and
Oh yeah, I don't. The American state thing is just a fear mongering thing. Nobody, like very few people, want to be an American state, from what I've seen. I'm sure there's some that would, but that's not obviously what the petition is calling for.
in how the Liberals frame this moment, and if they do get to a majority government, especially through floor crossings, that they can kind of lose the public
Hello, E-Menti. Thank you for chatting. Hello.
if they don't handle it well?
I do think there is a risk of that. I think there's a risk of that because the Prime Minister's brand, which is a very unusual brand, is based on not being political, based on not being a politician, being somehow motivated by higher aspirations than the kind of grubby shit politicians normally care about.
Did he say
Like
grubby shit?
being, I do think there is a risk of that. I think there's a risk of that because the Prime Minister's brand, which is a very unusual brand, is based on not being political, based on not being a politician, being somehow motivated by higher aspirations than the kind of grubby shit politicians normally
What
care
the fuck? I don't know, I guess. I mean, yeah, on CBC, that just seems pretty funny.
about, like getting an extra seat in the House of Commons. And so I think there is a danger to the Prime Minister in looking like he's overly involved in or interested in the machinations of floor crossing. And I certainly think that if they were to call an election, there would be great scrutiny on the motivations behind that election call. And there is a real risk and a danger.
If the Liberals called an election, they'd win a majority, in my opinion. I don't even think it would be close. Obviously, things in life like that are not guaranteed, so it could backfire, but what do you think? I think they would win a majority easily.
To the Prime Minister's image and reputation that way. So I presume that they're being cautious and careful about that, because the anti-politician is the thing that's most attractive about Mark Carney right now, I think, to Canadians.
Very quick last word to you. What do you watch for next? I mean, we're all watching for more floor crossings, but other than that,
Well, Terrebonne is the center of the universe now. That's going to be the by-election to decide. That is a block seat for decades.
Yeah.
The NDP won it in 2011, went back to the block, but the Liberals, they won by one vote. It's been overturned, and that's going to be a monumental by-election unless there's more floor crossings.
all right, we're going to leave it there. Thanks to you both, though. That was a really good talk.
Yeah, Trump is, I like Trump a lot. I wish, it doesn't even need to be like a Trump, but I just wish Canada had somebody that was at least close to Trump in political ideology and stuff like that. And
Welcome.
I really like how Trump doesn't care that certain people won't like some of his policies. I don't know why that is apparently impossible for a right-wing person in Canada to do, because the left-wing people in Canada don't care. Carney doesn't care if he triggers right-wingers. Trudeau didn't care. So it only goes one way. There's another video here, and I said I'll play this one. Probably the whole, we'll see. If it gets boring, I'll switch it, but then I got some X bookmarks to cover here, but I'm going to use the Washermo BRB.
Welcome, Matt. Welcome to the government team. It's a great honor to be on the same team as you. Matt brings a wealth of experience.
For me, it felt disingenuine and quite simply wrong to be sitting on the sidelines anymore. So I reached out to the Prime Minister's office, and we'll be joining his caucus.
3 floor crossers, 3 seats to a majority, 3 pending by-elections on the horizon. Alberta MP Matt Jenneru has left the Conservatives to join the Liberals. He's the third Conservative to cross the floor in as many months, joining Chris D'Entremont and Michael Maw. The Liberals are now at 169 seats in the House of Commons, 3 shy from a majority, though no closer than they were immediately after the April election. But there are currently 3 vacant seats in Parliament with pending by-elections. The 3 ridings were previously held by Liberals, including former cabinet ministers Chrystia Freeland and Bill Blair. And last week, the Supreme Court invalidated the federal election result in the Quebec riding of Terrebonne, where a Liberal MP had won by just a single vote. Now, the Prime Minister has not set a date for any of those races, but that is expected to happen soon. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre was asked yesterday, before Matt Genereux crossed the floor, about the state of his Conservative caucus. Here's what he said.
There were leaks out of Caucus last week, and then there's also this issue with Mr. Giovanni. I'm wondering how do you feel about how things are going in Caucus?
Look, overall, I think we have a great team. We're the only party that's addressing the real issues that are affecting people's daily lives. And whether it's on affordability, the affordability of food, the safety on our streets, and the self-reliance of our economy, we have an incredible team of caucus members who have been fighting for those things, and we're going to keep doing that.
So what does this latest news mean for the future of both the Liberals and the Conservatives? Let's bring in our front bench. Sharon Carr is a CTV News political analyst. She's the former Deputy Chief of Staff to former Finance Minister Bill Morneau. Next to her, that's Sebastian Skamsky. He was Director of Media Relations to Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. Jamie Allerton is the principal at Canaptus and worked for Minister Jason Kenney during the Harper government. And with me here in studio is Laura D'Angelo. She is with Enterprise Canada and previously worked in Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's office. Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Started out as a slow day, Laura, turned into anything but. What does it tell you? I'm going to start kind of at an odd place. The fact that none of this leaked, that none of this was, even though there's been rampant speculation about this possibility occurring, that it was announced in the way it does. What does that tell you about the strategy being employed by the Liberals and the Prime Minister right now?
They've clearly learned their lesson from the floor crossers in late 2025, right? When we had D'Entremont kind of leak, Matt Genereux, it looked like he was going to cross, and then it leaked. But so clearly they've learned about how to keep this tight. The second part of the strategy, though, that I think is very clearly highlighted is they are actively pursuing floor crossers in a majority through this mechanism. And frankly, it also shows the...
Okay, this person here, who she mentioned, this person here, Sharon, look at this. This is posted from today. Mario says, am I going to be the guy that breaks it to Matt Genereux's wife what Matt has done while in Ottawa? I'll tell you this much. The staffers, they know. I don't know what Mario's talking about there, but she's Sharon. This person says, this is the death of the CPC. What's left is a hollowed out cult of thugs and conspiracy theorists led by Poilievre. So Poilievre has spent a year, I would say, trying to make people like Sharon like him more, and it's gotten him nowhere. From the top down, it's a factory of hate and misinformation. Mario's the bottom-dwelling parasite doing the dirty work. Absolute bottom of the barrel rot. So Poilievre has just alienated all of his potential base to make people like Sharon Carr like him more, and it's done nothing. And yeah, I've been saying this today on X to whatever. I don't have that many followers, but it's insanity that Poilievre has been pandering to people like this for a full year, and he still gets slandered. Hey, Pierre, how about you resign? Let somebody who actually wants the job proceed. That's how I didn't even see those replies yet, but that's how I feel. I don't know how to actually get followers on X. It's actually difficult. Like, YouTube, I actually have an easier time growing. Like this, even this YouTube channel I'm on right now, I basically just started it, or at least I just started posting maybe 2 months ago, and it grows way more. And then my other one here, this is maybe a year and a half I've been kind of going on it, and it's got 52K. Like, I have a very hard time. I don't know how the hell to grow on X. I have no clue what to do. 229 followers. Like, it's not very many. I got the blue check again, though. The blue check helps you, at least with on the replies. I don't know if anyone in the chat has ever had the blue check, but it gives you a big boost on the replies. So that's probably part of it. You have to have the blue check, because if you don't and you reply to stuff, you're like way down the page, and nobody even sees it.
But so clearly they've learned about how to keep this tight. The second part of the strategy, though, that I think is very clearly highlighted is they are actively pursuing floor crossers in a majority through this mechanism. And frankly, it also shows that they deeply understand the moment Canada is in, right? I think that the statement coming from Matt Genereux, the statement coming from the Prime Minister, MPs want to help Canada get to a majority so that we can try to get through this trade war and not have the constant back and forth. At least that's how it appears to me. And that's probably the strategy they're using to convince people.
It's interesting that in the past few weeks, the Conservatives and Pierre Poilievre himself, Jamie, have gone to great lengths to kind of convince Canadians and I think political watchers that like they, you know, that they won't be standing in the way unnecessarily of that agenda advancing. Like I've done a number of interviews, including with Andrew Scheer, where he made it abundantly clear, I think exactly a week ago, that they did not intend that to be the case. Whatever that message was did not seem to translate to Matt Genereux.
Yeah, I think the curious case around Matt Genereux is going to get, I think, have a lot of people's head scratching. I'm not sure any of the parties involved really come out looking great about it all. I think this is the part of politics that makes people incredibly cynical. But I also think when you look at where Matt Genereux was back in November, the fact that he almost crossed the floor and essentially had to be pleaded not to, and then 2 months later, 3 months later, went ahead and did it anyways. This is just further momentum for Prime Minister Carney, even if it is a bit messy as how he's going about it. I think the Conservative response kind of shows you where the kind of the spurn and how they're feeling about all of this. And I frankly just don't think they actually know if there's going to be more, and which is why I think you're continuing to try to see them going back to the original playbook they tried with Chris May, which is to like go scorched earth and try and make an example of them, make the person who did leave feel some personal animosity as a result of it, while trying to bridge back to a message about affordability that's kind of getting lost in the vitriol that's being launched at RAT.
Sharon, I'll throw the question of whether they're going to be more over to you. Maybe you know, maybe you can shed some light. It certainly feels like that is the case, at least that there are more people, to Laura's point, being targeted.
Yeah, I definitely think Carney's going to get the majority as well.
So whether it's targeted or whether people are reaching out, I would say it could be a variety of any. But yeah,
what do you mean, Philip? What do you mean? Like saying, "Oh, we're so great"?
There's a lot of talk.
I still hope the final will be Canada versus USA because it'll be a spectacle. Those two teams will be fun to watch.
And a lot of rumors and speculations and names that are floating around with up to several more members who might cross the floor from the CPC. But we have to ask ourselves why. We saw the flurry that came out of the speculation back in the fall, and then eventually when Matt Genereux did say he was going to resign, and we've heard all the speculation that was going on out there. And if anything was a clear reason as to why people are walking away from the party, just look at the response coming out of people like Pierre Poilievre, coming out of members of his caucus, coming out of their social media influencer gang that's out there. Nothing about this says, come be part of our tent. We welcome all, and we welcome you to be part of us. It is showing the hate. It is showing the dismissiveness around what people think. And I've said this before, the Conservative Party often operates on fear and hate, and I get a lot of slack from people online.
That is so crazy. Holy shit. The Conservative Party does that. They should do that way more. They should do something. They should try. They should appeal. They never appeal to emotion. They always try to be so buttoned down and logical, and they don't win. That is a crazy comment.
Be part of us. It is showing the hate. It is showing the dismissiveness around what people think. And I've said this before, the Conservative Party often operates on fear and hate, and I get a lot of...
She'll get no pushback for this, I bet, on this panel. So she's saying that Conservative Party operates on fear and hate. Is anyone going to even say anything about that?
Often operates on fear and hate. And
oh my gosh, man. Holy. That's so backwards. It's the exact opposite. They don't do anything, the Conservatives. They operate on being afraid.
And I get a lot of slack from people online to say that's not true. Just go on social media networks today to see what people are saying about Mr. Genereux. Whereas the Liberal Party has welcomed him with open arms, he is not a hyper-partisan. He is someone who's thoughtful, cares.
Go on, so you could say that about any statement ever. Go on social media and see what people are saying today about brownies. You could find people trashing them. You can find people trashing anything. That's so crazy.
deeply about things like men's mental health. And you know what? He's welcome in a party that's not going to spew hate at him.
Man, okay, is that going to get any pushback? We will see.
Well, the perfect person to respond to that is sitting right next to you, and I'll give you the floor, Sebastian, to do just that.
I'm not really sure what Sharon expects Conservatives to do. Obviously, this is someone who is leaving and betraying our team. I'm not sure if we're expected to applaud and be happy at that. Of course, the Liberals are thrilled that
he's the Conservative. He's going to be so polite. She's going to be, you're hateful. You're fear. You make fear a part of your policy or part of your strategy. He's going to be, oh, well, that's not true. And
an opportunist and a careerist is joining their ranks. He will fit right in with Prime Minister Carney in doing what they do best, which is doing a lot of talk and very little actual doing. This is a member of Parliament who has not shown up to Parliament, which is where his job is since November. He has not really cast any votes. So I'm sure the Liberal caucus will be proud of that important record when he is an advisor to the Prime Minister. I think on this, obviously, this is not a great thing to have happened, but I think we need to look at this in the context of the individuals in question, as we did with Mr. Dontron, as we did with Mr. Ma, and recognize that these are decisions that are entirely based in advancing their own careers and their own opportunities ahead of those of their constituents, which regrettably are put at a loss here. They're not represented in the case of Mr. Genereux at all because of his absence, but they're not represented by someone they voted for, and their hopes and their aspirations to have a better country are have fallen really on deaf ears.
He just let her say that. They're hateful. They're hateful. How about you say, how dare you say that?
Lying to say that's not true. Just go on what people think. And I've said this before. The Conservative Party often operates on fear and hate, and I get a lot of...
So he was just way too polite about that. Then people watching this will go, I guess they do.
Their hopes and their aspirations to have a better country are have fallen really on deaf ears.
Look, I very much understand feelings of betrayal that people who just a number of months ago voted for these MPs would feel. I even understand Conservatives saying, like, what the heck? We thought you were on our team. But the thing is, when it's just one, then the focus can be on the individual. When it's two, maybe even then a discussion. When it's three and potentially more, I think necessarily so, like any objective reporter, just as we scrutinized Justin Trudeau when people were calling out his own leadership, like the story becomes Mr. Poilievre's leadership, Laura.
The story is absolutely Mr. Poilievre's leadership. This is 3 floor crossers and Jamil Jivani going down to the U.S., frankly, making Pierre Poilievre look quite weak. Whether that comes to he didn't know that Jamil Jivani was going down, he didn't know what was happening, and also he hasn't sort of publicly reprimanded him or publicly dealt with him in a way that would indicate he has control over Caucus right now. And that is also raising questions. I think when you add on the rumors that there are more coming, and I think a lot of the sort of chattering classes learned their lesson in the fall with such rampant rumors, they don't feel like giddy rumors right now. They feel a little bit more credible. When you start to hear that, the question has to be, why did Pierre Poilievre win 87% at his leadership review, drive so hard for that, and he's not using that political capital now to make sure his caucus is falling in line and showing themselves to be the governing party they want to be?
Do you think caucus is an issue, Jamie? And what do you think, if there is a way, what is the way out of this narrative for the leader of the Conservative Party?
Yeah, actually, let's be real about this. I think there is a wide variety of opinions in that Conservative caucus as to what the party should be doing right now in this minority parliament. There is a wide diversity of opinion as to how resolute the party should be.
Caroline Levitt is amazing. She's probably the best in that job I've ever seen.
And
I liked Kayleigh McEnany too, but I think Caroline Levitt is even better.
Doubling down on conservative principles and being bombastic and unapologetic, and kind of letting the dislike for all things liberal define the party's personality and how it talks to Canadians. And there are those that kind of also...
This panel to me is getting boring. I'm going to speed up a little bit.
A lot of politics before that gets realized, doing his job and trying to see over the years. They don't know. And Pierre Poilievre
like a hindrance right
so big, appealing to, especially for someone like Pierre
hindrance right now than a help.
Well, especially for someone like Pierre Poilievre, who's made his tent so big, appealing to extremely right-wing views. And, you know, if
How is that true? It's obviously not true.
I were him and drafting a statement that was supposed to go out today, I would have taken the statesly approach to this, something you would see from people like the Brian Mulrooney's out there, where it would thank Matt for his time. And you know what? Elections are elections. I want to remind and emphasize people of one thing. There's a lot of talk from Pierre Poilievre, his caucus, around this being a betrayal. There are 85,000 and change eligible voters in that riding. Matt Genereux, as a
the thing is, Pierre is actually such an idiot for not doing anything about this. He he obviously has let comments like that rattle him.
Conservative
So I
candidate
don't actually care to defend Poilievre.
won by 30,000 and change. The Liberal candidate won by 27,000 and change. So any
Yeah, you might be right, Jenny. Yeah, Doug Ford, that'd be crazy.
argument to say that this is a betrayal to the Conservatives who voted him, guess what? There's 85,000 people who are eligible to vote in that riding, and the majority of them did not vote for Pierre Poilievre. So elections matter, and we'll see where that goes next. But this is what happens when your tent is so big, you don't know what to say.
Okay, I would make a guess that this guy here, who it said is the conservative strategist beside that woman named Sharon, he might feel like I can't say what I actually think because that'll put my job in jeopardy, or I won't get invited back on CTV. I'm totally speculating, but all these conservative strategists, they basically talk like liberals to me. They don't really do anything actually right wing. So it makes a lot of these panels. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to even keep watching these panels because maybe they're just pointless. I don't know.
Actually, if I can quickly on that, we have 340.
Yeah, parties kind of say, what is the crossing? Is more
make the case that he should have been.
Is also a bit.
Okay, this guy goes one more time. Let's see if he says anything remotely right wing.
Rich.
Yeah, listen, I mean, if we used Sharon's definition of election results, Andrew Scheer could make the case that he should have been prime minister in 2019 for having won the electoral votes across the country. Listen, I think this is patently obvious that this was a self-motivated move. This is somebody who announced that they wanted to spend more time with their family in November, only to watch a speech from Davos, as we are led to believe, 3 weeks ago, and determine 3 weeks later that now is the time to join the governing team. I think most Canadians are rightfully rolling their eyes at this very poor theater performance on the part of Mr. Genereux. And I think most Canadians recognize that they're being taken along for a ride with this. The voters of that riding voted for Mr. Genereux for 4 times when he ran as a Conservative. He has never promoted Liberal principles or policies. He's not advocated for them when he was asking for their votes. And they didn't give him that mandate. And I think that frustration is real. It is real whether it's in Edmonton or in any other part of the country. And I think what Mr. Poilievre is underlining in his statement about this is that while these things happen, he will remain the champion of those people who are largely voiceless in our country and who are struggling to get by, and he'll continue to advocate for them.
I don't know. That just sounded like blah, 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 blah.
I'm just grateful that I get your... I'm just grateful I still get everyone's facial expressions. I got to leave it there, guys.
All of this, starting with the fact that Matt Genereux is going to keep his seat for Edmonton Riverbed. Why is this interesting? Well, last fall, you might remember, rumors were swirling that he was going to cross the floor at that point, defect to the Liberals, and he did not. Instead, he announced that he was going to be resigning his seat. He said at that point that he wanted to spend more time with his family. He characterized this as an amicable break with his Conservative caucus. He said he had a positive conversation with Pierre Poilievre at the time, that his fellow Conservatives remained friends, that he would remain a loyal Conservative, still supported that party at that point, insisting really that this was not a loyalty question, that he would be stepping down because it was what was best for him. But he has not been present in the House of Commons in the months since, nor did he vote remotely in those key confidence votes that we were tracking, for example, on the federal.
So what's he been doing? Just on the couch for months?
Budget last fall. This gave the impression that he already had basically one foot out the door, wasn't very engaged in being an MP anymore. We believed that there would be perhaps a by-election imminent for that Edmonton seat. But in a statement that he's now posted on his own social feed, Genereux says that he had conversations around his family's kitchen table this winter. He characterized these conversations as honest and difficult. And he said that he was reflecting on what the Prime Minister said at the World Economic Forum in Davos. And based on that, he has now decided to join the Liberal government's fight. The Prime Minister, in the post that he made, announcing that Genereux would become a Liberal, said that he was naming him now a special advisor on economic and security partnerships. Now, I was going over some of Matt Genereux's past as a parliamentarian on the opposition bench, and indeed, these kind of issues were among the ones that he was working on as a parliamentarian. Notably, Mark Carney's itinerary for today has now been adjusted. It's now showing the Prime Minister being in his hometown of Edmonton for a meeting with Genereux. That would be at 11 o'clock Mountain, 1 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll watch to see if anything further is disclosed coming out of that meeting about how this new role would work, with him as a
Yeah, Jermaine, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
direct special advisor. But we've gone from sort of him leaving politics for family reasons to now being more involved than ever, advising Prime Minister on what appears to be sort of the top fights of the moment. So this is quite a shift in terms of what Genereux himself has.
I mean, lately, maybe a little, Polyev at least mentioned it, but I don't think it makes sense actually for them to mention it. If you're a federal politician, I'm not sure what, I don't really criticize them for that.
Has been portraying about his political career.
But I criticize them for like everything else they do and don't do. That none of them even talk. It's only just Polyev talking, and Polyev doesn't do nearly enough interviews. Polyev is just straight up lazy. I definitely believe that. I think he's lazy on a bunch of fronts. He's too lazy to do the work to give a take on social issues. Like for the transgender issue, it just seems to me he doesn't even want to sit there and study to learn about it, to have a take on that. And then I think he's also lazy in just overall workload. He doesn't do interviews. He doesn't post that much on X. And if he does, it's the most fluff nothing post there is.
Trajectory. And of course, something hugely important both for the Liberal government, but also for the politics on the opposition side of the House too.
Okay, this is Melissa Lantsman. Is that her name? Did I say that right? Yeah, I knew it. At the CPC just a few weeks ago, Melissa Lantsman claims the party is unified. Pretty funny, I guess.
And let me just say this to everybody watching and everybody trying to divide us. We are united. Our movement is united, and our party is united.
I didn't even know then the edit, this fades in. That's so funny. Okay, these are people in
that is
Matt Genereux's riding talking about him going to the Liberals. This is pretty funny, actually, especially the end.
that is great news for me because it means I can vote for him. I'm thrilled.
What the fuck?
Terrible. He hijacked our votes. Like, I just find it sick. I hate it. It makes me so mad. It makes me just lose faith in our system. It's corrupt.
That's great. We can elect him next time.
You like the Liberals?
Yeah, I like Liberals.
I like Liberals.
Yeah.
What do you
sound like the guy? I like turtles. I like turtles.
Yeah, I like liberals, of
I
course.
like liberals.
Yeah.
What do you think about people that switch teams like
I don't care about people. I only care about their party.
That's the average. Isn't that a good quote for the average liberal voter? I don't care about people. I only care about their party. I like turtles.
switch teams like
I don't care about people. I only care about their party.
I don't care about people. I only care about their party. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? The I like turtles thing? Is that not okay? I'm gonna play. Does that not sound like that guy talking about I like liberals?
Back here live at the Waterfront Village with my friend, the zombie, Jonathan. You're looking good. Jonathan just got an awesome face paint job. What do you think?
I like turtles.
All right.
Is that not this guy? I like liberals.
You like the liberals?
Yeah, I like liberals, of course.
I like liberals.
You like the liberals?
Yeah, I like liberals, of
Okay.
course. Yeah.
Just an NPC, bro.
What do you think about people that switch teams like
I don't care about people.
I don't care.
Only care about their party.
Okay, one more time, bro. Just NPCs in Edmonton. I like turtles.
Yeah, I like liberals.
Jeez, bro. That is weak.
At times.
Okay, we'll take a look at Giovanni here.
Sometimes I feel like my job in Ottawa is to have a front row seat to observe the destruction of my country, which is very infuriating at times. The reality is that, because the Liberals have been in power for so long, they have to own the status quo, but they cannot argue to the Canadian people that the status quo is good. They cannot convince the average person in our country that their life is better off now than it was a decade ago. And so how do they balance that? Well, they just pretend they're not responsible for anything. Not a single decision of the last decade do they apologize for or take ownership of. And they treat us like we have the memory of a goldfish, where they can go from saying the carbon tax is essential to stop the melting of our planet to then going, well, we don't need the carbon tax anymore, and how dare you even bring it up? I mean, it's a weird way of doing politics, but it's the way they do it, and thus far it has worked for them.
And to be honest, the Liberals, if they can get away with it, why wouldn't they? This is on the CPC to call out. The CPC, yeah, anyway, I've made this point a bunch in this video, but I'll keep making it because it's very difficult to even have a real conversation about policy in Canada at a federal level if there's only one point of view. Yeah, Giovanni, man, Giovanni's like the only good federal politician that I'm aware of. Maybe there's some other ones, but yeah, Trump is president and he does all this stuff. I agree. Like Poilievre could do half of what President Trump does and it would still, I think, be effective. But he does maybe 5%. He's just so lazy. I don't even know what he does all day. What would he do all day?
The deal to pull Edmonton and
if he didn't do anything all day, but just sat there on Twitter and posted conservative takes, he'd be a more effective leader than he is right now.
the deal to pull Edmonton MP Matt Genereux from the Conservatives over to the Liberals has been in the works for nearly 3 months. But when the Conservatives learned last November that Genereux was about to cross the floor, they confronted him. And rather than cross the floor at the time, Genereux announced his intention to resign his seat, a resignation that he said would take place sometime early this year. But now, Genereux says he will not quit. He's going to stay on as an MP on the government benches. Genereux now becomes the third Conservative to quit on Pierre Poilievre since last spring's election. That is unprecedented. Now, in a social media post, Genereux said he changed his mind.
Turtle Club, yeah, that movie's so funny.
After discussions with his family over the holidays, but he also hinted that Prime Minister Mark Carney's speech in Davos last month was a tipping point. Now, as for Carney, he too took to
Yeah, you're right, Knight. Totally. You're totally correct.
Social media to welcome Genereux to his caucus and said he was going to give Genereux a new role as a special advisor on economic and security partnerships. Genereux's floor.
I mean, all this stuff probably strengthens the case for Alberta independence. I mean, that person that crossed the floor today was literally from Edmonton. So yeah, we will see what happens for sure.
Crossing follows Ontario MP Michael Ma, who, as soon as Ma crossed the floor, got to accompany Carney on his recent visit to China and sat in on meetings with Chinese President.
I don't know how people in Alberta, Saskatchewan, even most of BC, Manitoba can look at this stuff and think that this is helpful to the West. The Liberal Party just does whatever they want.
Xi Jinping and other top Chinese officials. Now, by giving General and Ma those special roles, Carney is clearly telling any other conservative backbencher who might be thinking about switching that Carney will find meaningful work for these floor crossers, helping to run the country. Now, to the House of Commons math. You need 172 seats for a majority. With Genereux's addition,
yeah, they have like the Conservative Party. I don't even know I truly don't even know what the CPC stands for. Does anybody know? The only thing they're different than the Liberals on is carbon tax, I think. And then they say they'll be tougher on crime, but I'm not sure.
The Liberals have 169, but there are 3 seats vacant in the House. And if the Liberals can win all 3, they will have that 172. But one of those seats is held by the Speaker, who normally does not vote, which means the Liberals really need one more floor crosser, plus those 3 by-elections, in order to have a working majority.
Yeah, I saw people saying similar stuff to this, Jesse, on X today.
That would let the Liberals pass any budget bill or other legislation.
This is pretty funny, 403.
Without the help of the opposition. David Aiken.
Did you just think of this on your own, or have you seen this before? That's actually pretty funny.
Global News, Ottawa.
Conservative. Do I got more of this? Okay, this is Sunshine Baby going off on immigrants here. I think I only watched about 5 seconds. Okay, I want to give Sunshine Baby, though. I criticized him maybe 3 weeks ago for clickbait, which I still think he probably does clickbait a little bit, but I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. People told me that. I only saw one example of that, but I want to give Sunshine Baby and Clyde Do Something some props right now. I think they both are more intellectually honest than a lot of right-wing influencers because they are willing to criticize Poilievre, which obviously I think is the right move. But I still see a lot of other ones, which I'll kind of call them out in a few minutes, afraid to not toe the party line. But Sunshine Baby and Clyde Do Something are the 2 big ones that I'm aware of that seem to be more independent-minded, have their own thoughts. They'll kind of call balls and strikes, I think. And I think a lot of the other big ones are just in their little audience capture zone a little bit. Maybe, but the thing is, I don't want to assume I know what they're thinking because maybe they just truly agree with some of Poilievre's decisions that I think are stupid. So maybe that's actually what they think, but I'll give credit to Sunshine Baby and Clyde Do Something.
We're fucking
that what I just said is more about their overall point of view on social media, not this video specifically, because I've only seen about 10 seconds of this video. It's about 2 minutes.
We're fucking flooded with immigration. Go to the superstore, go to Costco, go to No Frills, go to Save On Foods, go to Thrifties, go to wherever the hell you get your groceries and tell me the color of all the fucking cashiers. Do you think that's a problem? Go to Tim Hortons. It's not even called Tim Hortons. It's called Sing Hortons.
Look, the thing is, that was a terrible stutter. I'm like 20 seconds in here. I do not blame immigrants for this. I'm not saying he is because I just am clipping this up here, but it's not their fault, man. It's the fault of the politicians that had a crazy immigration policy and also said to them that Canada essentially has no culture. So you can do whatever the hell you want as long as you don't break the law. We don't have a culture here. Our culture is nothing. It's the salad bowl. There's no melting pot here. It's come here and do whatever the hell you want. So, man, the fault is at the politicians. There's people like Sean Fraser or Mark Miller or all the people, Trudeau, who Carney, because he was an advisor, but it's all the people that thought, let's just flood the country with immigrants, and that close the border or close the country down because of COVID. That led to way more immigrants too, to like bail out the economy or whatever.
And tell me the color of all the people that are working there. It's not racist to point it out. It's not racist to say that Canadian-born youth, that includes brown people too, but Canadian-born youth that should be working a lot of those jobs are not, because it's going to temporary foreign fucking workers.
Facts.
From India.
See, like, this is actually brave by Sunshine Baby, because it's actually easier to just go, yay, Polyev, we love you.
We are prioritizing Indian immigrants over any other high quality country. Canada is a shit show, and a lot of people to blame are people that are refusing to criticize even their own team. The Toronto Maple
exactly.
Leafs haven't won since 1967, and you have people that are still Toronto Maple Leafs fans. That's a tough pill to swallow. But those Toronto Maple Leafs fans can say, you know what? The coach, I don't like him. He's not that good. Or this trade of players probably wasn't that good. And I don't really fucking like the Toronto Maple Leafs this year, but I still cheer for them. You have people that can actually do that. With conservatism in Canada, it's this weird elitist mentality that you're supposed to ride and die by your party instead.
I haven't seen this yet, but bravo. Bravo. This is brilliant.
Of your own personal values that you stand on. So you have to pick, what is it that you stand for? What do you want for your family, for your kids?
I think I might do a separate YouTube video on this, because this Sunshine Baby is spitting facts right now.
Your grandkids in this country. Do you want a strong Canada? Do you want the Canada that we all had 20 years ago, 30 years ago, a good, a safe Canada? If you want that, if you want to see elderly people working at Tim Hortons or youth working at Tim Hortons, people for their first job in McDonald's and Superstore and Costco cashiers and all that stuff, if you want to go back to those times where you can maybe leave.
What's everyone's favorite thing at Tim Hortons? Because it's obviously gone downhill. I still don't, it's probably kind of greasy, but that farmer wrap breakfast thing is still pretty good. I probably will only ever get it if I'm in an airport or something, but it's still not bad with like the hash brown and the sausage and the egg. I don't even know if it's like, it might be powdered egg, but
your house and you don't have to lock it, and you have kids that are playing hockey in the streets. You want to go back to that time period? Then stop worshiping Canadian politicians. Stop worshiping specific parties and stand on your own morals. If you disagree with things that your team is doing, call it out and criticize it. Call it out and criticize it. We need to see more of that, because honestly, the direction that the Conservative Party is going right now, I wouldn't be surprised if 2 more people end up crossing the floor very, very soon.
Bro, that was brilliant. That was great. Shout out, major props, Sunshine. I'm going to definitely do a video on this. And then just put my own little spin on it, but that definitely deserves a YouTube video. Here's, I think this is in French, but jolie, la langue française.
Pierre Poilievre is accusing the Liberal Party of getting a majority with dirty backroom deals. What is your response to that? Well, he just has to make sure he can keep MPs in his own party. That's all.
Man, I don't even know, like, oh my gosh. That is so funny.
That's all.
He just needs to be able to keep his own MPs in his own party. It's his own problem.
It's so arrogant, but it's also kind of true. But again, I don't feel like defending Polyev, but it's so arrogant.
He needs to be able to keep his own MPs in his own party. It's his own problem.
Holy crap, man. It's so catty. That's just so mean. But there will be no blowback. If Polyev said that, you're a racist. You're the worst. You're Maple MAGA. How is that not Maple? Like, that's That's just the meanest thing you could.
Keep MPs in his own party. That's all.
He just needs to be able to keep his own MPs in his own party. It's his own problem.
It's his own problem. Holy crap! Again, that one I'd only seen about 5 seconds of that. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Just do a little rounds of these people, and I don't care that this might make me seem a little rude, because okay, there's a bunch of these people. They've got to stop. Like, whatever. I don't want to seem like I'm telling people what to think, but there's a lot of Poilievre cheerleading that is getting the CPC nowhere. And it's not just this guy, because I've seen some of his videos before and they're good. He obviously does a really good job, but like, let's just take a look.
Mitzi Marner, baby.
Because has anyone seen this guy criticize Poilievre ever?
Very handsome offer from Mark Carney and the Liberal Party. In bold letters, we'll read this part. It says, after further reflection with my family, is that a member of the Canada-China Legislative Association, which he served from April 2024 to March 2025. Never trust them. Things that have happened, people have been so cowards. You've sold out your country. Hiring in the been hurtling towards remain vulnerable to Beijing.
I'm actually serious. Has anyone ever, if you watch, has anyone seen this guy criticize Poilievre or the CPC ever?
Interference.
Because maybe he has. I'm not going to say I see all this shit, but I only see him cheerleading the CPC.
Matt Generou's decision today entrenches this break-tapping approach to change anti-democratically, possibly for 3 years. I'm worried for my country. Boom. Boom. Out of anything I've seen today, Matt Strauss has probably had the most poignant post at this point. Look at what you've done, Matt Generou, Michael Ma, Chris D'Entremont, all of you. Cowards. You've sold out your country for the sake of a few dollars and a title change. And well, we know with Michael Ma, he has other allegiances that aren't this country. Ron Butler brought up a very good point.
Okay, but what he said there is actually totally correct. But what is the CPC doing about this? They're just sitting there. Poilievre, again, I bet you he'll make that one post on X and then fade into the darkness. Whatever the hell Poilievre does all day.
100%, I spout that off. 100% that was me. I was wrong. Keane was right. And I have to tip my cap to him on that one, for sure. This was an interesting story when it comes to Michael Ma. From the Bureau. Floor crossing MP Michael Ma was director of group explicitly named as United Front.
Okay, and then we got... well, I'll go here. This is another person that... There's a bunch, man. Has Mario Zelaya ever criticized Poilievre or the CPC? What is everybody cheerleading? In 2019, again, what does the CPC stand for, and why are all these big creators so enthusiastic about them? I've never seen Mario criticize the CPC or Poilievre. I'm not even going to include Jasmine in this, because I think Jasmine is in a little bit of a different class. I don't know why, but I just think she works hard. She does lots of, she gets lots of newsmakers on her show. But maybe Jasmine should be more critical of the CPC as well. But who else is on there? The pleb does a little bit. I'll give the pleb a little bit of a pass, because the pleb actually will criticize Poilievre and the CPC. But another one here is this channel. Has anyone seen this channel criticize the CPC ever? Maybe they have. I've never seen it.
You're a traitor to your party. And to the Liberals. Jenner is the third Conservative to join the Liberals in recent months. Edmonton Conservative MP Matt Jenner has crossed the floor to the governing Liberals, according to a social media post by Prime Minister Mark Carney on Wednesday. Quote, I am honored to welcome Matt Genereux to our caucus.
I've never seen this, but that's interesting. The communist stuff, like what is it, like posters or something?
As the newest member of Canada's new government, end quote, said Carney in a post on X. Quote, I am grateful to Matt and his family.
Yeah, so I've seen that channel as well.
That he will continue his service as a strong voice for Edmonton Riverbend in Parliament, end quote. Carney said Genereux, who has represented the riding of Edmonton Riverbend since 2015, will take on a new role as special advisor on economic and security partnership for the Liberals. Genereux is the third Conservative to join the Liberals after colleagues Michael Maw and Chris D'Entremont crossed the floor late last year. So, it's rather peculiar timing for Matt Genereux crossing the floor. Maybe they couldn't convince him to come over. Maybe he was holding it.
Okay, Moose. I think Moose might be the best. He's probably the most successful Canadian YouTuber, probably. I don't know who would be number one, but it might be Moose. Moose does a ton of stuff. And I think Moose is also quite smart. And yeah, I definitely think Moose is a very hard worker. But does he ever criticize Poilievre and CPC? Because what is everybody so excited about the CPC for? I do not get it. And I've watched Moose's videos and I like them, but I don't know. If he does, let me know. Maybe I'm totally out to lunch, but what is everyone so excited about in the CPC? They're getting dog walked by the Liberal Party and they're just letting it happen. There's another account here. What the hell is his name? This guy. I think this guy's pretty young, but just a massive Poilievre cheerleader. The Conservatives are united behind Poilievre's leadership and ready to make him, bro. I don't think so. Okay, but I think I'll end the stream there because I got, like I said, my other YouTube video or channel, I got something to come out. And I'll probably go live in like a couple hours on Alberta, maybe like 90 minutes. Yeah, Christopher, fill me in on the I just saw it, but I didn't watch the story yet. What happened? It was with Nigel Farage too, right? I didn't hear but I think the Britain situation is very fascinating. Maybe you could say the independence movement in Alberta is kind of like the reform, similar energy to Britain, because I think the Reform Party in Britain is doing very well, and it's kind of taking on the liberal conservative duopoly. This is what we need to be supporting. Yeah, but I think the PPC is very disappointing. Whatever they've done, it hasn't really turned into a movement. And again, I would say the PPC has the same problem as Pierre does. It seems lazy. They don't do anything. They just sit around and expect people will support them, but they don't do anything. So it'd be interesting if something came up that was, the thing is, I think it's Alberta independence. And then BC Prosperity Project, Saskatchewan Prosperity Project, that seems to be the political energy that's going against the establishment right now in Canada, which I'm totally for. But like a PPC thing, maybe the PPC should just fold up shop and let somebody else try to take that over, like the Reform energy federally, but paid by the, I don't know if they are or not. I've never like heard that. I don't have any, like, obviously I don't know, but it's, I don't really get it because I don't know what the CPC is doing to deserve them. A conservative I think Jasmine is good. Like, I don't, because she does like a lot of, like, she doesn't just sit there and do commentary like this, which is probably easier. She does real interviews. She gets people on. Her shows have pretty good production value. Like, I don't watch every day, but I do like Jasmine. I think she's good. I pretty much like everyone I mentioned. It's just man, I don't know. I agree when Sunshine Baby was saying, why don't they criticize the CPC? That I agree with the Sunshine Baby's take there, where you don't need to just be 100% in one direction. Just Carney this, Carney that. What does the CPC stand for? Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, I think I'm caught up on the chats, but I'm having a little bit of a delay on the stream, but so there might be some I missed. But I'll take a look here. Oh yeah, some just loaded up. Okay, I'll read these, then I'll stop my stream. Conservatives are becoming liberal after knowing Carney as a P and as a frequent flyer. But I don't know about that. He's in the Epstein files, but that does not mean he's that. But yeah, at all. I don't think that's no, that doesn't prove anything. Canadians have nowhere else to live. This our homeland. Millions of blanks need to go home. They have their own countries. Canada's not a... Yeah, I totally, bro. Totally. The Restore Britain party seems very promising, but I'd always question the narrative brought to us at this particular time. It just seems that they have... Is that what it's called? Restore Britain? I met a guy in Bali who has a big channel, and he talks about... I don't know if he talks about Restore Britain. He probably does, but he has a big... channel in the UK, and their messaging came out of nowhere. The PPC can't change the Constitution. Whenever somebody has a voice, they're a little too polished. Is that Jasmine? Yeah, I don't know. It's fine to care. Like it's fine. It's fine to care what the production value of your show. I should probably build a studio, but I don't even know if I want to, because anyway, I'm not going to even talk about that right now. It's a long kind of conversation that'll lead nowhere. Who else are conservatives? Who else are conservatives going to root for? There is no one else. Yeah. You mean like they need to root for the CPC? I think they need to criticize them. They're accepting mediocrity, in my opinion, for sure. Who is the nerd? Oh, yeah. I like that guy too. Wyatt. I like Wyatt. I don't know if he's very critical of the CPC, but I think he is sometimes. I like Wyatt too. I'm pretty sure you're talking about Wyatt Claypool, who I'm a fan of. Withdrawing from Confederation is the only way out. The Liberals have legislated too much insanity. Yeah. I build BMX bikes. Nice. That's very cool. WEF agenda is infiltrated. Yeah. Live like Saudi Arabia. Yeah, but Saudi Arabia is not. Saudi Arabia is rich. It's not the richest, but I hear you though. Oh, you're saying Saudi Arabia is good. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. I read that wrong. My bad. Yeah, Wyatt, yes, sir. It seems like a little too sweet. Root for Alberta Pence, Wyatt, yes. Okay, thank you everyone for watching. Have a great day. Please like the stream. Leave a comment if you'd like. After I finish, have a great night.